What happens when two dudes, one a retired Navy SEAL commander in Colorado Springs, and the other a hippie meditation teacher in New York City, get together to discuss living mindfully? That's a great question, because we don't know what will happen either. Raw, uncut, and unapologetic. Welcome to Men Talking Mindfulness with co-hosts John McCaskill and Will Schneider. Each week, we take an authentic dive into how mindfulness continually impacts our lives, deepens our relationships, and allows us to be emotionally alive. We filter all of our conversations through the man box, where we unpack how as men we are expected to act in society, how fighting the authentic human experience is exhausting and damaging, and how mindfulness can help. Now, on to the show.
All right, here we are for another episode of Men Talking Mindfulness. John McCaskill here in Colorado Springs with my brother from another mother, Will Schneider, there in New York City. Got a great show lined up for you today. We've got a great guest we're going to get into here. We're going to be talking specifically about addiction and recovery, and we've got a recovery expert, a man who knows the pitfalls of addiction and how to overcome the disease, specifically the disease of addiction, Dr. Robb Kelly, and we'll get into an introduction here shortly. Can't wait to get into this all, but Will, you've got some announcements first.
Yeah, I'm super stoked we have basically two announcements today, three announcements today. Get excited, everybody. The M2 experience is back, and it's going to start on October 27th with myself, John, and Teresa, and the whole crew. So if you're ready to improve your mental and physical wellness, join me and John and our partners at Movement RX for this 21-day online journey. We'll drop the link here in the notes as well. And if you're on the fence, join John, Dr. Teresa, and myself on the upcoming free webinar on October 21st, where we can introduce you to how mindfulness and movement work together to improve overall health and wellness. This webinar is, again, it's free October 24th. Free October 21st at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Again, you can directly register for the experience through the MTM link that we're going to drop in here, or you can sign up, where you can also sign up for the two webinars as well. We have another link for that as well. And our MTM swag is back. So we're going to do another sale. We're going to do like a 17-day sale for our, I don't have my t-shirt right now, John. We have t-shirts, hoodies. We're also going to do, there it is. Boom, super MTM right there. We're going to do t-shirts, hoodies. We're going to have winter hat, beanies, and also trucker hats as well with our logos on. So that sale is going to go on October 22nd to November 7th. So be on the lookout for that. It's only a 17-day window, and it gives you the opportunity, by ending on November 7th, an opportunity for so you can have it for the holidays as well. For all your loved ones, can get some great MTM gear as well.
Christmas
that
swag.
All said, yeah, Christmas swag from MTM. That all said, John, let's bring up Robb, and let's meet Robb. And there is Mr. Dr. Robb Kelly. How are you, sir?
Dr. Robb Kelly.
Doing good, guys. Thank you
Welcome.
so much for having me on.
Yeah, we're so excited. Yeah, we are so excited. And as you said before, this is going to be the best episode of Men Talking Mindfulness ever. So
hell yes.
Hell yes. So quick bio, Dr. Robb Kelly is a world-renowned addiction expert who believes in treating the problem, not the symptoms. He has worked for many years helping addicts and alcoholics to recover their lives from the disease of addiction. Based on his own experiences working with addicts and alcoholics for over 20 years, combined with a PhD in psychology and as a recovered alcoholic himself, he is a triple threat against the disease of addiction. Robb has written a book about his journey to recovery, Daddy, Daddy, Please Stop Drinking, available on Amazon, and we'll drop that link in the comments here shortly. We're going to get to know Robb, his story of overcoming addiction, and much, much more. But first, as we start every show, Will is going to kick it off with a grounding practice. Over to you, Will.
John, if you didn't say it, I was going to forget it. I was already so excited to jump in and talk to Robb. But that's why we do this grounding practice, Dr. Robb, is a great way to kind of get some of the stress, get some of the anxiousness out, but also an opportunity for our audience to learn. And I've seen a lot of people commenting about how much they love the grounding practice in the beginning and at the end of the show. So that said, let's find a seat. If you are sitting down, again, if you're driving, walking, shopping, whatever, maybe just pause and find your feet on the ground and just stop what you're doing. If you have and you're available or able to close your eyes, And relax your shoulders, create a nice long spine, and let's just take an exhale out the mouth. Really deeply exhale that breath all the way out. And here we go. Take a nice big inhale through the nose. Pause for a second. Take another inhale through the nose. And exhale out your mouth. This is a great breathing technique to help just relax from stress and anxiety, but also ground yourself. Let's do 4 more rounds. Inhale 1. Keep going. Inhale. Hold for a second. Take another sniff of air through the nose. Exhale out your mouth. Keep going just like that. Inhale. Another hit. Exhale. Couple more. Bigger breath if you can. Even get more proactive on that first inhale. Hold. Another inhale. Exhale. Great. We'll do one more. Inhale. Inhale. Exhale. And just take a moment, remind yourself why you're here. Check in how you're feeling. When you're ready, open our eyes. Welcome everybody to the show. Dr. Robb, once again, amazing to have you here. Oh, I think you're on mute there, my brother.
I think you're muted.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. 2 things to say. First of all, thank you for that meditation. Was awesome. Absolutely. And secondly, I'm an extra large for a hoodie and a hat. I'm just putting that out there. You never know, do you?
We'll make
and
sure
I'll wear it next time I'm on TV.
That? So, that would be fantastic. Yes, we will get that in the mail. I love it. So, hey, Robb, in reading your book and watching some of your past interviews, you really seem to have a lot of fun with helping people heal from addiction. Let's get into your story, and then Will and I will jump into some questions. But I would love you, if you could, give our audience an overview of your background and what brought you to this point right here, right now.
Well, I was on stage at the age of 9. I always wanted to be a musician. Musical family. I grew up in. Auntie and uncle were musical, and they were actually performing for many years. So when I was 9, I was very competent with the bass guitar. So I went out on the road with them. Well, we went home every night, but we played Friday, Saturday, and Sunday clubs and pubs around the northwest of England. And I remember at Liverpool, Irish Centre in Liverpool, where the Beatles come from. I took my first drink at the age of 9. What I know now and not then is that set off my alcoholism, because alcoholism, when you mention that, they go, "Hey, well, I know what that is. It's somebody who drinks so much alcohol." Alcoholism is a predisposition, which enlarges through trauma. So I got through school okay. I was a musical genius going through school. I couldn't play football very well. Cricket, I'm not very good at. But music, I was always good at. But, I grew up on what we call a council estate, and guys in America would call the projects. Really low-class housing. Dad was worked for the gas board, and my mother was a cleaner of houses for other people. So I don't know what it is. My auntie was always wanting to be better themselves. I don't know whether that had anything to do with the genes, but I always knew that I didn't belong to that lifestyle. But I carried on. I was always looking to expand. Really early on, I applied for a job at Strawberry Studios. And basically what you did is you go in what's called session work. You go in, they'll give you a couple of pieces of work. You play your bass track. You go out, to give you a bunch of money. I quite like that. So I less gigged and more studio work, which was awesome. I also joined the Freemasons at an early age in Manchester, England, because it's very, very secretive over there. Not like over here, you see a big sign on a window. It's like, oh my goodness, you've got to, no way. So I was the organist there because they needed an organist. So I had contacts there that got me into Oxford University, which was either right or wrong. I don't know. But what I will say is, going through all that, when I attended school, I always felt less than, and these are the alcoholic traits. I always felt not in my place. And I always felt the imposter. I still feel the imposter today. So that's that. I think that's going to be with the rest of my life. So I got through college. First job was a police officer, peer pressure from the Freemasons. Everyone were police officers, high-ranking police officers. And it didn't last long in there. They fired me for being drunk. Then I worked for a telecom company way before the phones came out, where there was a mix between the army services and this new telecom that was supposed to come out in 10 or 15 years' time. And I thought, I can do this after 2 or 3 weeks, a month. I don't know how long. I can do this. And that's what I've always said. I don't need to go to medical school to learn to be a surgeon. Show me how to do it in 3 days, and I can do exactly the same as you. I learned by watching, and that's what I did. So to pay for college, which I didn't know then, this was all happening kind of at once. I applied. I saw a bass playing job, same again with the music melody, it was called. And I looked at a bass playing position going to Abbey Road. This was like late 70s. And I thought, I can do that. So I went down with 30 other men who were seasoned bass players on the road, some of them with famous people. But I had no fear. I noticed I had no fear. And I'd found alcohol by then. So before I went into my first audition, I had 1 beer. When they called me back for a second, I thought, well, obviously it's the alcohol, so I'll take 2 beers. I had 7 auditions for that position. So on the 7th time I went in after 7 beers, I couldn't really stand up. But I got on my chair, I played my session, I went home and I waited for the answer. And I got a letter a week and a half through the mail saying I got the position. So my college was paid for from my session work. I've played with guys like Elton John, Bowie, Freddie Mercury, plus bunches of more, because they all had to come through there at one time, and I was the session bass player. And what happens with bands is, especially if they bring an album out for the first time, everyone start getting paid. So when the bass player of blah blah was too drunk and wasted on drugs because he just got his $500,000 from the record company and he's not available or in rehab, they'd call people like me in. And at the time, you could either get a mention on the album, and I think it was something like £30 back then, or no mention, because not every single track would end up anywhere, or you get like $500 with no mention. So everybody took the $500. So I was earning some crazy money, driving a 911 at the age of 18, 19. And it was good. I got through college, I started a telecom company on my own. The money was coming in like crazy because I didn't want to belong to that council estate kind of people, the kind of less people look down on them kind of people, look down on me. And then I met a girl, got married, and had 2 children, and everything was good. But I'm drinking every day now. I'm successful, but I'm drinking every day. And then people say, "You're drinking too much, Rob." I go, "Hey, look what I provide. Look at the cars outside." Even my wife, swore. When the first baby was born, went down to the hospital, and I swore to my wife, and I had a Bible. I put my hand on the Bible, and I swore to God, myself, and my wife that I'd never drink alcohol again. And 3 hours later, I was drunk. So knowing now to know now, of course I was. Why wouldn't I be? I have this predisposition that people didn't know of then, and the violence in the house. And I remember coming down one day early in the morning. I'd been drinking for 48 hours, really heavily, not just drinking heavily. And I came down, crept downstairs quietly, and looking for a bottle of vodka. I found it. Now, for an alcoholic who needs a drink, find a bottle of vodka in the kitchen is a bit like someone winning the lottery. And I don't joke. The feeling was absolutely unbelievable. I put the bottle on the side. I turned around for a second to get a crystal glass because, hey, I'm not an alcoholic. I need a crystal glass worth $20, $30. And when I turned around, my wife had followed me down and she grabbed the bottle of vodka off the side of the counter. She said, "I think you've had enough." And she's probably right. I should have gone back upstairs, said, "Thank you, Mrs. Kelly," and slept the rest 3 hours before the board meeting I had at 9 o'clock. What this alcoholic did in blackout was took a kitchen knife out and stabbed her 3 times and then took the bottle off her, and I carried on drinking. I called the ambulance and I had a cab waiting outside. By the time the ambulance and police turned up, as soon as I heard the sirens in the background, I was away to the airport, and I fled to Spain for 3 months until the charges were dropped of attempted murder. So I didn't know there was anything going wrong. I just thought it was a bit of bad luck, But I came home and she had all the bags packed. They canceled my credit cards in Spain. So I had to come home. And the second I arrived by taxi at the house, she had all the cases and the children ready to go, ages 1 and 3. And she said these words, I'll never forget it, guys. She said, I love you to the day I die, but you're not killing our children. Because I'd fell down the stairs with the eldest one, who was 3, because Daddy wanted a drink, trying to get round her, you know, come on, Tony, come on. She was trying to get down the stairs, little girl. I knocked her over and we both went falling down the stairs because Daddy wanted a drink. Disgusting when I look back on it, but I was sick. I wasn't a bad person trying to be good here. I was a sick person trying to get well. And that's another myth of the disease. And some people don't even want to call it a disease, but we have evidence it's a biochemical reaction in the brain, comes from a predisposition, not to alcohol, but the ethanol in alcohol. That's what I'm actually allergic to. So she took them. And I remember stood in this big house going, there's no way is she taking my kids off me. So I called my attorney, who we used to pay about $1 million a year to. God bless that guy. He went to court and next day he come back with my children. I remember taking my children. I opened the door. I give him his check for, I don't know how, fortunes, I think. Brought him in. I sat him down in front of the TV. And I'm like, yeah, that'll teach you. And be careful not to curse here because I usually do, but I don't know who's listening. So
we go a bit overboard sometimes with our swear words. So go ahead.
And one of our mantra for the show, Rob, and it kind of fits you very well, is raw, uncut, and unapologetic.
Excellent.
Right? So,
excellent.
So be who you are, Rob. We appreciate that.
So we sat the 2 girls down. I went into the kitchen and the thought crossed my mind, wouldn't it be good if I just have 1 drink to celebrate? And I had 1 drink. I remember the first bottle. 3 days later, when the police kicked the door down, because Daddy's absolutely wasted out of his mind and been to the liquor store times and left the children alone. They've not been fed for 2 days. They've not been changed diapers for 2 days. He kicked me, the police officer. He looked down at me and he threw a paper. And I grabbed the paper and through squinted eyes, I looked unfit father. And he took my children out. I'm so glad they did. But at the time, I was furious. And I came to the door and Mom was there. The authorities were there. Child protection. The police were there. The ambulance was there. She was there, my wife and mother-in-law, and they took him off the police. And the 1-year-old was being carried, and the 3-year-old was walking down the path. And she said 3 things to me. She said, "Turn around." She said, "Daddy, please don't go." And then she started walking down the path. She turned around again and she said, "Daddy, please get better." And when they finally got to the gate and they opened the gate, she looked back 1 more time to me. This always gets me. And she said, "Daddy, please stop drinking." And I couldn't do it. I went back in the kitchen, opened another beer, and 6 or 7 months later, the kids had gone, the wife had gone, the cars was gone, the medical license was taken off me, my holiday home had gone, Mum had kicked me out, parents didn't want nothing to do with me, my dad. I went from there to friends to acquaintances, and acquaintances to the streets. And I literally had nobody. I was abandoned on the streets. Nobody would speak to me. Everyone changed the locks on the house. And as soon as I called them, "Hey, Mom," bang, phone would go down. And they just give up. And it was a horrible, horrible time. I had to fight every day to survive. And I don't mean, oh, this is a struggle. I mean, literally fist fight every day to survive. I woke up one morning, the guy next to me had been stabbed to death for his sneakers.
Oh, wow.
And I'm all freaked out. There's a dead man. They're going, "Oh, yeah. Must have had some nice training shoes on him." And I'm like, is this where I am? Is this what it's come to? But yeah, that bare knuckle fight for about 6 months to earn money. If I couldn't earn money, because I still had my respect, I would steal alcohol if I couldn't pay for it. And it was rough. It was a rough time. And there were 6 suicide attempts. And on 2 occasions, I succeeded. My heart stopped and they brought me back to life again. I hated them guys for that for many years. You see, I didn't want to live with alcohol. I couldn't live with alcohol. And I didn't want to live without it. And I stayed there for 14 months, guys. And if I was going to be honest, and I don't think I ever said this in an interview, I kind of got used to it. I kind of got comfortable on the streets.
Wow.
You know, I kind of like that, not being responsible for anybody and me not having to answer to anybody. And, that went on. And the reason why I got off the streets is one morning after 14 months, I'm walking down the back end of Manchester. I don't know how somebody found me, but I dropped down to my hands and knees crying from my stomach. I was doing that really sobbing, aching stomach cry. And the crazy thing goes, though, guys, I wasn't crying because I'd lost my children, my wife, my house, my money. I was crying because the first time in my life I realized I couldn't stop drinking. I looked up to the sky and I was done. And when I mean done, you've got to imagine the worst of I was done. I didn't care what happened. I tried jumping in front of trains. I tried falling off buildings. I couldn't die. And I'm like, fuck, I just want to kill myself. I couldn't die. And I looked up to the sky and I said, okay, if there's a God up there, I can't do this on my own anymore. 30 seconds later, a guy walked around the corner, little Bible in his hand. He took me back to his house and he said, you can stay here for as long as you want, Rob. I'm an alcoholic and a Christian. And that's where my journey started.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, then he also took you to the AA meeting, and that's where you met John.
Yeah, John.
Right?
I only used to tell people about John about 4 years ago because
I really got to say, I really enjoyed reading that in the book. Like it's just, there seems to be some sort of, I guess when you're just so down, so desperate, so completely done with life, as you've said, or have you expressed, it's like, you know, then there's like this divine intervention or something like that somehow it's like pulled you out of the depths of another, like a potentially successful suicide or something.
Yeah. And I didn't want to, I don't believe in intervention, divine intervention. I don't believe in angels or God or anything like that. I was just, you know, but there's been some remarkable things that's happened. There's a bunch of things happen that you would scare anybody that went through one of them, but one of them was meeting John. And he told me categorically that when you leave here after 12 weeks or 10 weeks, no, 12 weeks, your life will change. And the very next day it did. And he said, guarantee people can recover. That's what God wants you to do. Now, I took a lot of crap for that in meetings, in 12-step meetings, but I stood strong because I was like an ex-half professional bodybuilder. I was a martial arts expert. I could box. So I could look after myself in the meetings and no one really argued with me. But yeah, it's been a journey and a half since then. But my program today, the reasons why it's probably 97% success rate is the program was from John and God and my psychology and the behavioral science, the second PhD that I took combined. So again, I just repeat what was told to me. And like when I was talking to you, as God said, that guarantee people can recover. And that's when I first went in rooms and said, my name's Robb Kelly and I am a recovered alcoholic. So that angel stood in and gave me what I have today. So it's unbelievable. But yeah, that was the biggest turn in my life was John. And we've never found him. We tried everything. We couldn't find him.
Wow. Yeah. He just disappeared seemingly. So, wow. Can you actually, let's just start, John, really talking about, how alcohol is actually a disease, where instead of it just being like you mentioned in the book, just stop drinking. And there's a lot of, someone right here is a lot of like labeling issues, and families and all that kind of stuff. So
here's
really
what it breaks down.
Break it down.
Yeah. Here's what it breaks down, John. Thank you for your question, John. Great to meet you. If you're a heavy drinker, then you don't want to be labeled. If you're an abuser of alcohol, then we don't want to label you. There is a qualifier that we have to make sure. You see, alcoholism is the only self-diagnosed illness in the world, period. 10 DUIs do not make an alcoholic. So if you have 10 DUIs, there's no alcoholism in the family because it's generic, it's passed down from generation, then you're not an alcoholic and don't label yourself as such. The reason why we label them and me is because we pre-qualified them and their own admittance that are an alcoholic. So, John, beautiful question. If you have somebody who's a heavy drinker and you call them an alcoholic, they're going to drink more because they're pissed off at you. Well, I had that label, so I might as well, but they're only still a heavy drinker. So here's the crazy part, John, is you can't drink yourself into becoming an alcoholic. We're either born this way or we're not. You can't drink. I know people drink more than me, not alcoholic. Now, the different changes with drugs because the predisposition in alcoholism is passed down. So for my first drink, I'm done. I'm always going to end up where I ended up, period. Die of alcoholism if I don't get my shit together. Now, drug addiction, that you have to take drugs for a period of time before you get attached to them, before you get relying on them, and then you become addicted. So there's two different parts of the brain. They are different, but they present the same. So because somebody's taking a lot of drugs, do not make them a drug addict as such. Again, they may be abuser of drugs. And that's the intricate part of finding out if someone's a real deal. So when you come to me asking for help, if I find out that you abuse alcohol or you are just heavy drinking, I will pass you on to somebody else because I deal with alcoholics. I deal with the guys that were me, the guys at streets, lost their kids, managers broke up, lost their job, all that stuff. That's what I specialize in. I don't really specialize in drugs. I have studied brain science regarding the alcoholic brain.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you actually clear up for me? Sorry, John. I'm Will. Rob, that's John.
No,
It's all good. Okay.
He was responding to John Krotek's chat there.
Yeah, I was talking to John just in the messages.
Oh, in the message. I was okay. Now I'm really okay. Again, thanks for clearing that up, guys.
Thank you, Will.
What I love, thanks, Rob. Right. What I'd love you to clear up for me is you said it's like it is, but it's also alcoholism and being an alcoholic and living with the disease could also be attached to trauma. Is that and not just genetic? Is that, you know what I mean? Or how is that? Clean that up for me, please.
Everybody who's an alcoholic and addict has trauma in their life. So we only found out about 10, 15 years ago how deep trauma is. So if you're born an alcoholic, you may never touch alcohol. They're the guys running Apple and Google. They're the smartest guys in the room. That's an alcoholic and addicted brain together. Okay. But what happens is because of my trauma and because of most addicts and alcoholics' trauma or abusers, we tend to reach out for something that could get rid of the feeling. How do I get out of me? That's when we reach for the alcohol and drugs. If I'm predisposition, I'm off to the races. If I'm taking drugs through college and whatever, because I'm down, you can get out that real easy, unless you go to the addicted. Again, they both present themselves. So yeah, everybody asks me all the time, will they go, hey, Rob, what's the gateway drug? Is it marijuana? Tell us it's marijuana. And I go, no, it's trauma. That's the bottom line. Trauma is your gateway drug. And trauma plays such a part. This is why women come to me and go, Rob, I can't understand. I've done it again. I've picked the guy who was great at the beginning. He's an alcoholic. He didn't tell me, blah, blah, blah. What was your dad like? Yeah, it was kind of the same. So what you're seeing in that house for 12, 13 years, the mirroring part of the brain has copied that, and that's who you attract, and vice versa. And until you break that chain, until you go back to the scene of the crime, the trauma that happened, and you clear all that stuff up, you're always going to attract the wrong people. And that's what people, it's just a bit of trauma. No. In normal therapy, they call it big T's and small T's. With alcoholic and addicted brains, there is no such thing as a small T. Everything is, you see, I hear things different. Let's say my mom comes in the kitchen. Me and my brother Paul were stood on the kitchen table. We're not supposed to be there. My mom says to my brother, Paul, will you get down off that table, you stupid idiot? And he gets down. Do you know why I'm frozen and can't get down? Because what I've heard through my trauma, get out off that table, you stupid idiot, is what I hear. And that's another thing people don't understand, is we don't comprehend the same. My addicted brain will go straight for the negative. I had more self-sabotaging neural pathways, thought patterns, than self-care because of my trauma. So yeah, it's huge.
Well, you talk about your neural pathways there and the negative self-talk, and you talked about the obsessive mind there. And I want to bring in, just larger addiction. I want to talk about alcoholism as well, but addiction writ large. The obsessive mind, how that plays into addiction. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, of course. Well, again, let's take alcohol out of the question. Let's talk about drugs and everything else. The addicted brain can come from many things. And most of it is the traits from trauma, which we obsess over as we go into teenagers and 20s and 30s and 40s. So, for instance, it doesn't make any difference whether it's cake, food, sex, porn, all the same when it comes to the brain. Now, obviously, drugs and alcohol are different because they can kill us. Overeating can kill us eventually, but it takes longer. I'm addicted to the gym. Good. As long as you don't go crazy, everything's good. So there's moderate addiction where one is never good enough. And the reason what happens is the brain through trauma it's heard things in the past. You're not good enough. You're never going to do it. You're never going to go to brother. Like, are you going to university like your brother? Don't be stupid. My brain likes stuff like that, and it will keep it in and it will hear it. And when I go for that job, car, wife, house, my brain will say, what are you doing? I belong here. So what I do as a human being with this brain is I want more and more and more and more and more and more, because what I'm proving to my parents, especially my dad, that I am good enough and I can be successful and I can have 5 sandwiches if I want to from the same store and 4 bottles of Coke. And once again, that neural pathways, they never stop. I've done it loads of times. I bought a new car the other day. It's a Mercedes AMG GT. It's a 6-figure car. I'm driving home and I saw a Porsche 911 GT. And I looked at that and thought, oh, I think I want to buy that. Never satisfied. Okay. Listen, them guys know what I'm talking about out there. We're never going to be blonde enough, thin enough, tall enough, or rich enough. And as soon as you settle for that, and again, not giving a shit what people think of you, and when you get them two in your life, then you start to live life for what it is. Because the reason why we obsess is we hate ourselves deep down inside. Most people again say, well, I don't, Rob, I love myself. No, you do not. You don't know what love is. Well, I'm in love with this guy. No, you don't. You don't even love yourself. How can you? You don't even know what it is. It's like saying I've just been through the maze without going through it. You know, it's crazy. You know, it's just, you've got to understand alcoholism and addiction and the obsessive mind. The more you know about it, the better understood and equipped you are to deal with what you are. Stop going to the doctors and him giving you pills, please. Most kids in the 70s are on Adderall or Vivac. Why? Because it's spread around school. If you go to your doctors, you can't concentrate. Oh, they give you these pills. Do you know what my concentration was on a kid? Slap across the back of the head. You know, it's like all these crazy drugs out now. What was the matter with morphine? Morphine was good enough for the guys, my dads and moms and all that generation. It's like obsessed. Let's more, bigger. Come on, let's go. All the time. The world is like that. It's no wonder we're always obsessed. If you don't know whether you're obsessed or not, take your friend for sandwich somewhere. Ask your friend what he wants. He'll go, oh, I'll have a beef sandwich and here's a can of Coke. Yeah? Then watch what you go. Well, give me 2 of them and I'll have one of them cakes and give me 2 bottles of what? That's the obsessive mind.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely, I can sympathize, man. I am right there with you. I always wanted to do better, always wanting more. And this comes to our conversation the other day, Will, with Molly Carmel and our addiction to sugar and how we eat something that has sugar in it and we are an addict to sugar. And then suddenly we want more and more. And that obsessiveness, that obsessive mind comes into play all over the place in society. So sorry, Will, I cut you off, brother.
No. I like you're talking about this addictive brain, and it sounds like it's developed in order to kind of deal with the trauma, deal with those negative voices. So we go actually out and take action, right? I mean, whether we're drinking or taking drugs or eating sugar, and that gives us like it gives us a feeling like, oh, hey, I feel okay. I don't those voices and those things that I don't want to deal with aren't rising to the surface. And we just continually go through that habitual thinking loop, active loop. I mean, is that how this kind of addictive brain is formed?
Yeah. It starts as something fun, something to get you out, something to pick you up, anything, food, sex, porn, just pick. Then it becomes something that you do every day. Then it becomes an addiction you can't put down unless neural pathways change. So it's like energy drinks. Most people give up drinking. Oh yeah, how many energy drinks? What's that got to do with anything? Does it change the way you feel? Well, it does. Do you know why? No. There's an ingredient in every energy drink that's 1,000 times stronger than sugar. Read the ingredients on the back. Acetylcholine, I think it's called. Read the ingredient. You'll see it on everything. You've become addicted to sugar, and you're drinking because it gives you energy. Why do you need energy? You're not getting enough sleep. Drink more water. Go exercise. That'll give you more energy. Why relying on these things all the time? There's a great movie that came out. And if you haven't seen it, guys, and you're interested about how we perceive life and how things can change for us, because listen, I want to tell somebody out there, listen, you can be whoever you want to be. Don't ever sit there and go, oh, well, because if you think you're not good enough, if you think that you'll never attain what you want to attain, I want to apologize to you guys because somebody's put that there. We are born with $1 million minds. Stop hanging around 10-cent minds. So it's the way we look in life. It's like quantum physics. It tells us we can be 25 places on a basketball court, for instance, at the same time. 25 places. I know where I want to be. I want to be over near the net, the goal. So when I get the ball, I'm banging it in the net and boom, I'm the hero of the game. I know what you're thinking. Well, how do I get there? Well, you've already visualized it. So here's what we do. You walk over and you take that position. Don't be begging for shit. Don't think you're not good enough. The only reason why the CEO is earning $2 billion a year and you're sweeping the roads is because you don't believe in yourself. Nothing wrong with sweeping the roads. I did it for a long time. I'm just saying the thought pattern. He believed he can. Right now, you don't believe you can. And that's the difference. Well, I can't be president, Rob. I beg to differ. A businessman ran the country for 4 years. So don't give me that shit that you can't do anything. So it's all about visualization. What you can visualize in your head, you can hold in your hand. And that could be the new obsession. You know, I say to myself every morning, I was homeless, guys. Literally started from nothing. I don't want to brag, but I've never bragged. But listen, I live an amazing life. They call me one of the best minds in the modern addiction world. What? My neuroplasticity research and brain science is worldwide renowned. What? Me? The guy that stabbed his wife 3 times one night? The guy that walked out on his child? Me? Yeah, me. Because I visualize it. And I have tenacity, and I went for it. And everybody I tell this to, they all text me and call me. Rob, I did it. I got that job. Of course you did. What do you want me to do? Get excited? Of course you did. That's how the universe works. You know, the universe wants to give us so much, and we want to ask for so little. God, can I get a $10 rise? $10 rise? What about taking the position of the CEO at that company? Why can't you do that? $10 rise? Come on. You're better than that. If you want to be the best road sweeper in the world, we had one once. He became a foreman of that crew. That's all he wanted, and we got him there. If you want to start a business and become a multi-millionaire, we'll take you that way and we'll get you there. It's all here. And that's what it's all about. Forget the drugs, the alcohol, the women. It'll all come. The women, cars, and girlfriends, and wives, and husbands. If you want it bad enough, it'll come. You just got to work at it like I did. Don't take no for an answer. Listen, show me your friends. I'll show you your future. And what I mean by that is I first came over to America 15 years ago. And I said to the crew then I was hanging around with, I surround myself with 5 friends always, thinking of writing a book. Don't be stupid. A book? You mean a proper book? And I'm like, maybe not. Years and years on, when I'm surrounding myself, thank you.
There it is.
When I'm surrounding myself by the right people, I go, I'm thinking of writing a book. And this is what I hear back. What? You haven't got a book out already? We thought you had a book out. Oh, really? Oh, my God. It would be so awesome if you. That's
those are your people.
Yeah.
Those are your people.
Yeah.
I got to come back to the movie. Rob, you mentioned a movie that we should all see, but we never heard what movie it was.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. So if you want a great explanation of this, and you have to really think what the movie's about. It's called I Feel Pretty. It's about a girl, big girl, a few pounds overweight, and she hasn't got a boyfriend. She's like dead end job. And then she goes into somewhere training, I think, and she bangs her head on the floor, fell off this bike because she's really big. And she went to the restroom and she stumbled around a bit. And then she got up and she saw her thin self in the mirror. And she thought she was really thin. And she's like, how did this happen? You know, and she's looking in the mirror and she gets dressed up and she gets this job in a model agency and receptionist. And it's like, because she thought she was a slim, beautiful, intelligent girl, then so she was. And that's the mindset. It's like there was an experiment done many years ago in England where a scientific research team went into a school, and that small school, and said, hey, we have this test that will tell you, this is bragging rights for the school, the top 3 people, school kids, that's going to be geniuses. And they went, really? Oh, yeah, can we do it? Come in. So they went in, 100 people or whatever, children took the test. They gathered all the information. They went away. Overnight, they came back next day and said, okay, we've got the three names for you. And the headmaster's looking at him like, okay. And he said, well, there's Jill. Oh, yeah, Jill. Yeah, okay. That's the headmaster. And there's Tommy. Tommy. Yeah, he's going to be a genius. Tommy Brown. Yeah, Tommy Brown. Wow. Okay. And what's the next one? Billy. Wow. That surprised us. Never been wrong with his test. He went away. A year later, they came back. How's our 3 guys doing? Oh, my God. Unbelievable. They've got offers from private schools to go there. And the scientists said, well, I've got to tell you something. There was no test. We walked out and we threw all our papers away. But we give you 3 names, and because you treated them as geniuses, so they become.
And they thought they thought of themselves that way as well. So
they're being treated that way. You think yourself that way, you know, and then you become. Yeah. So that's the key to life.
I had that moment, Rob, when I was like, a collegiate athlete. You know, I grew up like very skinny, very lean. And then I started after college, I started lifting quite a bit, but I always had this image of myself like just being really thin, like, lean but thin, like no muscle. And I was lifting a lot. I was like benching like 200 something, not like your powerlifting, Rob, but definitely throwing some weight around the gym. And I remember, and I always thought I was skinny, and someone looked me straight up and said, they're like, dude, you're fucking jacked. And and literally in that moment, I was like, I am. And I completely, I couldn't believe. And then I started calling myself FJ for fucking Jack, like at the gym. I was like, call me FJ at the gym, guys, And literally, that moment, I was like, it was like, it's true. It's true. So they become, right? Or so you believe, right?
It's true. And then once you believe, you're off to the races. I mean, the hardest thing for me is complacency and being humble all the time, because when somebody flies you over on a private jet to the Paramount Studios, and you are always surrounded by an assistant and clothes guy and makeup guy, and taking to a private room, and they're doing all this stuff. And I go on, the last program went out to 18 million people. I'm going to walk out there. I walked out there. I was like, oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, Dr. Kelly, you were so good. Yeah. Thank you. You were amazing. Thank you. I get to the reception. I said to my wife, where's my chauffeur? And she went, slap across my face. And she looked at me and said, first of all, it's not your chauffeur. Secondly, get your feet on the ground as quick as you can, boy, because it carries on like this. We're not going to get on the plane together. And it was so good because I surround myself with people like that, I mean, I want to be an influencer when it comes to alcoholism and addiction, behavioral, eating, food, sex. I want to be that guy, but I don't want to be that guy to be seen to be just throwing it in everyone's face. I tell people how I live and what I have for a reason. It's like, I am no different than yours, no different than you. If I can do this, you can do this. And the world is out there for you to take. Yeah. Woo, getting him. Let's go. This is good. This is good.
I know, Rob. John, what do you got?
Yeah, well, Rob, this is kind of tied to what John Krotek's question was earlier about the labeling. And in the book, you mentioned how alcoholics are judged, how they're shamed, how they're even threatened and punished. And then at the same time, you mentioned that you're not excusing an alcoholic's behavior because the destruction it causes in others and their own lives. What can a friend or a family member do for someone? What's the first step they can take in order to get somebody on their own road over, to recovery?
It starts with dialogue, as silly as it may seem, but there's the three types of alcoholism. There's a moderate drinker, the heavy drinker, and the alcoholic. 3 stages completely, depending on what stage they're on. But I always say to people, man, I'd rather have an argument with somebody than attend your funeral. So you should be educating. If there's addiction in the family, let's start educating these guys at 8, 9, 10, 11, that there's addiction in the family. If there's somebody in the house or a friend that is drinking too much, start dialogue with them. As a friend, I love you. Don't you think you're going, oh, no. Well, just think about it. I want you to, just for me, let's just calm it down over the next week or so and see how we go. Just keep monitoring. If they start to drop out your circle, if they're a child, a teenager, and they stay in the bedroom most of the day, if they're unkempt looking, if they, not going to sleep till 4 a.m, you need to look at behaviors. You need to search bedrooms. You need to start asking questions, because nobody did that when I was doing that. And hundreds of millions over the years who have died, because once you get to a certain point, if you have a predisposition and we don't know where it is and you cross that invisible line, there is no coming back unless you have help. That is really, really good. And I want to say this, and I want to be careful. Okay. There's a lot of crappy treatment centers out there. They're letting Johnny in for his 4th time, still paying 30 grand a month. Them guys, we don't have nothing to do with, but there are some good places. So call them, call us. We're not in the business of selling you shit, by the way. It's very hard to get into our program. You can't buy our program. You have to earn the program. I turned Britney Spears down for $1 million off her dad, Jamie, because she wasn't ready to do it. And it's my reputation on the line, and we will not take you for the money. And about 3 days later, she did all that shaving of the head when I met her in Dallas. So start talking, start looking around, start seeing anybody that can drop out, drinking too much, hungover in the morning. Just ask them something. Let them know you care. Just be there for them. It's a very lonely illness, and most people who are addicted to certain things, it's shameful. You don't go to work tomorrow and go, hey, I'm addicted to porn. What? We don't do that. So We need to kind of seek help.
That'd
Call
be quite
us.
a conversation.
Right?
Guys,
It is. Yeah, exactly.
I have an admission to make.
But what I want to do at the end of the show is, because people are, I just don't want to speak, is I'm going to give my phone number out, okay? My personal phone number, not my secretary's or the desk, my phone number. And if you're feeling really down or feeling you can't cope, let me give you a 10-minute pep talk that will change your life. I'd rather give you a 10-minute pep talk than go to your funeral once again. So, you know, I'm here to help anybody, but, you know, shows like this just do it all for me. You know, it's just amazing what you guys do. So, yeah, next question. Make it a good one.
No, well, what's your number first? And well, actually, okay, give us your number, and then I have give us your number, then I have a question for you, Rob.
Okay, 214-600-0210. Now, always best to text. Give me your name, text, because sometimes I'm in something that I can text, but I can't talk. And if you're pretty desperate and you want a 10-minute talk, or you want me to do anything else, just text me. Hey, this is Sarah. You know, I'm just thinking if we can just talk for 10 minutes, and like, I'll give you a time and a date, get you in the diary. Let's start talking probably the same day. I don't leave you for days and days.
I think that's a first for us, Will. I think that's the first time anyone has ever given out their phone number on our show live right here. Oh man,
I know, and people freak out about that.
You,
Rob.
But
that's the way to put it. Way to put the work out there, Rob.
In the trenches.
I guess so. So yeah, you are. And we feel like we are too right now. It's like beautiful. Like I love digging through this conversation. So what happens? You have that initial conversation, and what happens with your? And I'm sure you're getting typically met with resistance. Like what's next? Like you know, do you just kind of watch, monitor, stay in conversation, keep that loving vibe going?
Definitely.
Or what is it?
Definitely. And you'll see if you get really comfortable with somebody, a friend or a colleague or a child or whoever it may be, dad or mom. You know, there'll come a day when you go, okay, I see what you mean. I don't know who to call though. Just call us. You know, we'll get somebody near you. You can go and see some of that we vetted before. So don't waste your time going to just any old treatment center, any old therapist. Let's get to some good ones. You know, let's take therapy that we need, not therapy that's been taught out of a 60s and 70s textbook at university or college. That's no good. You need somebody with life experience. How's a guy who's never been through alcoholism expect to mentor me when he doesn't know what it's like to stab somebody in the face for an extra bottle of vodka? You know, you need to be paired up with the right person. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it out loud. Everybody can recover. I'm a recovered alcoholic. Recovered means to gain one's health. My body's no longer sick because I don't crave. And state of mind back. I'm not insane today. And everybody can, and that's what we specialize in. I mean, the alcohol, nothing to do with alcoholism. The drugs, nothing to do with addiction. It's just a symptom. The truth is, where's your trauma? And now we're going to walk through it together and get you a life beyond your wildest dreams. So you said it was a first to giving your phone number out. Do you want to give us? Do you want to know a second first that nobody else in the world does, ever in the world ever does? Is we offer a money-back guarantee if you relapse after us while following our program. It's unheard of. That's where my money is, where my mouth is. Yeah, everybody can recover. John, thank you so much for them comments, man. It's so true. You know, don't let people tell you can't recover. Don't let people tell you, you know, you didn't get sick overnight. You can't get well overnight. It's bullshit. That's not true. You can get well overnight. Now, there's a bunch of work to do, but you can feel well overnight. Alcohol and drugs, food, sex, porn, first day, gone. It's not your problem. You know, the problem is, I had the guy once here and he you know, it was just, his dad was a professional runner. So he wanted his kid to be a runner. His name was Greg. And he tried, but he wasn't a runner, but he tried. And there was this race at his school. And there were 7 people in it. And the first 3 got T-shirts. He come in 4th. And through our work together, we found out that he'd been chasing that T-shirt for 40 years. That's how much trauma has effect on our life going forward. Let's get rid of it. I don't know whether any of you guys have seen a deer being hit by a car, but not killed, just hit. What the deer will do is it'll lay still for a second, then it jumps up, then it shakes violently and runs on. That deer never suffers from trauma from that hit car because when it gets up, it shakes all the trauma off and carries on. We don't do that as human beings. What we do is we stuff it down, and the body keeps score, stuff it down. It's a bit like a zip file on a computer screen. One day while you're just chilling out, you click on that wham, it all comes to you. And that's where your breakdown is, and your bipolar and depression and all them, not so much bipolar, sorry, depression and addictions come from, is you got nowhere else to go psychologically.
That visual of that right there with accidentally clicking on a zip file and it just exploding on the computer. That
oh my God, all these files. Oh my God. Like, it's overwhelming.
That was perfect. And I love, the use of the word trauma here. So much of the time the word, when you hear trauma, you're thinking somebody physically or sexually abused, a car wreck, the loss of somebody on the battlefield. Those are traumatic experiences. Absolutely not minimizing those at all. But those are what we visualize as trauma, and we do minimize other traumas. So like you mentioned, that one kid who came in fourth in the race and didn't get the shirt, that was traumatic for him. Yeah. And it was traumatic enough to where he chased that shirt the rest of his life. And that could be the trauma that you mentioned before.
I stopped him doing everything, by the way, John. I stopped him doing everything in life.
Yeah.
Menial jobs. He never had a girlfriend. And that's why he didn't. Because every time he tried to, he would hear in his head his dad's voice. The brain doesn't know the difference, guys, between war in Afghanistan and war in an alcoholic house where the husband is drinking. Everybody's walking on eggshells. Nobody knows when it's going to kick off. And the bottom line is nobody knows when they're going to die. Because I've seen some horrible deals done with drunken, including me, when we stab people, shoot people, kill people. You don't know. It's unbelievable. And we need to start looking at this. The brain, we only know about 20% of what the brain does and how it processes. But the trauma part of it, for anything that you do that's unhealthy, there's a reason for that in your past. If you're always continuous on a diet, but you can't seem to get to the weight, if you trace it back through brain spotting, is what I do. There's only 3 in the country or world that does it. I'm one of them. Pupil, subconscious brain. We bring that stuff out. We take you back. Remember when your dad said, stop eating so much fatty? Remember that line? That's the reason today why you're still struggling and can't put it out your mind. That's the stuff I'm talking about. That's the shit that's stuck in trauma in the subconscious brain. And that's where all these depressions and addictions are. They lie in the subconscious brain. So I don't know when I'm going to relapse or when someone's going to relapse until I look at their behavior. And before any depressive episode, before any binge eating, porn watching, alcohol or drugs are taken in any form abusively, there's been behavior change a day or a week before. And that's where we spot it. My second PhD is behavioral science. Let's stop ignoring the bug. Do you know when you get a gut feeling, guys? That gut feeling is real. It's not some myth. It goes back to the tribal days where one of the tribesmen would get this gut feeling, wake everybody up and run or hide or get ready to fight. It's a true thing. Your body's telling you something's not right. And the more you listen to that and watch your behavior and your selfishness and what a guy came in again a couple of years ago. He relapsed in August because of this stupid woman that was using in his office a Christmas pen that her mum had bought her in December. And it's July and she's still using that pen. Boom. There's your relapse. Before you touch the alcohol a week later or the drugs, that is your relapse right there. You drink here. Here's where you relapse. This is not your relapse when you take it. That's death. When it comes to alcohol, this is your relapse over here. And it's about tracing all your behavior to make sure that you stay on track.
Wow. That actually brings me to a question that kind of wraps this up into the mindfulness realm of things, right? We talk about men talking mindfulness. That's what we talk about on the show is mindfulness. We talk about meditation, but mindfulness is really nothing more than being aware of the present moment and the physical and the emotional that you're feeling. And that right there, noticing that relapse when you cross that line, it takes that awareness. It takes that emotional awareness, that mindfulness to be aware. Have you ever heard of people implementing mindfulness or meditation in overcoming and understanding addiction?
We insist on it. It's part of our program.
Fantastic.
Mindfulness, somatic experience is mindfulness, central body and obviously the brain. But yeah, you need time to stop around. You need time to meditate every morning if you want to succeed in life. The men before us who were warriors meditated and prayed to God every single day. Now, there's 26,000 gods. Just pick one. but you have to meditate because there's so much healing done. It's a bit like sleep. Around 2 or 3 o'clock is when most of the healing and regeneration is done inside the body between them hours. So if you're mixing your hours up, going on shifts, it's very hard to replenish the body. It's the same thing with meditation and mindfulness. I always say, are you mindful or mindful? There's a big difference there. Because if your mind is full, you're not gonna be able to do anything in life that you want to do. Look, I went to bed last night. I was 18. I woke up this morning. I'm 60. Where the fuck did all that time go to? That's how quick it goes, guys. Every single day should be precious. Every single day. I compliment 3 people every day for 2 reasons. One, they're going to have an amazing day when I say, oh, that's a great shirt you've got on. Oh, I love that. Oh, nice. God, you look beautiful today. Wow, it's amazing. And secondly, is when I say that, dopamine's released into my brain. And I like dopamine. What about you guys?
Yes.
Yeah? But it all comes about replenishing this. You can't pass on to anybody something that you have not already been through and not already have. So when you have that mindfulness, you start seeing the grass green. You start listening to the birds, seeing the trees around you. You wake up next to your wife in the morning that you've kind of not really got on for so many years, and you think, wow, what that woman does for me is phenomenal. And you get a better person every single day because that's what life's about. That's what you think your kids grow up quick. You're growing up quick. You're growing up so quick. Why not leave somebody with an amazing feeling today? I'll finish on this real quick. There were 2 bodies of water in Japan that a scientist was working on. He put one body in one room and another body of water in another room, 25 gallons or whatever it was. In the room A, all the staff were allowed to walk in and curse at this water, as stupid as it may seem. And it would play crazy, horrible music with cursing words in and everything. And in the other, it was things like Mozart, and they walk in and they would compliment the water. And everyone thought this scientist was crazy. After 3 to 6 months, when they looked at the water and the sample from the water in A was undrinkable. The water in B, where the compliment was the finest, purest water they could ever find. So if we can damage somebody with words to the A water, can you imagine how much good we could do if we treated everyone like the B water? Because 90% of our body is water.
Right.
And that's the stuff you need to be mindful about is, do you want to curse somebody out? Or do you want to say, I'm sorry. I know it was your fault. I'm still going to apologize because I'm the better man today. Someone tried to sue me once for $10,000. It's nothing. They want to start a chanting. My attorney laughed. I said to my attorney, how long will it take to get to court? And he said, about 12 months. I said, pay the man. I said, what? I said, pay the man. I'm not walking around with that shit in my head for the year.
There you go.
No, sir. Not me. I don't do that anymore. I used to.
Not worth it.
I'm going to fight him. I don't fight anybody today. I don't hurt anybody today. And you'll get repaid 1,000,000 times. I promise. Keep grateful. Be grateful for the things around you. List 10 things every day you're grateful for. List 10 things every day that you fear. And you'll find out what life's all about.
I've read that study about the water before. The messages in the water. I think there's the book about it. It's a pretty wild study. Well, Rob, I think we're coming up on the top of the hour here for you, and I know I want to respect your time. Is there anything that we haven't discussed that you want to make sure our audience hears?
Well, a couple of things. And again, I'll just repeat myself quickly, guys. If you don't think you're good enough, you're wrong. Start hanging around. If you're on 40 grand a year, want to be on 60, hang around the guys that earn 60. Surround yourself with good friends that are going somewhere, and you will follow. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. The second thing is, and I'm sure you've got all the stuff there, is if you do want to call me, I gave my phone number out, 214-600-0210. You can call or text is best anytime, and we can touch base. Third of all, on Amazon or Walmart, Daddy, please stop drinking. The last thing my daughter said to me is available. All the proceeds, not all the profits. You see that after we've taken our pieces, the rest goes. No, every dime spent on that book goes out to charity. We give $113,000 away last year for one-parent families, for people in recovery, for people who wanted their first house, car, settee, sofa, washing machine. We give all that stuff away to the community. We're very big on giving. A man said to me once, Robbie, said, you'll never go broke by giving away with a big heart. When I stop at the signal light and give somebody $20, My friend says, you know what they're going to do with that? And I always reply, I hope they're going to get drugs and alcohol, because that's what I did. But my job is to give. What they do with that money is none of my business, as long as I keep going forward and working on myself every day. And it was crazy, guys, because when I worked on myself, when I got sober, permanent recovery, not part-time recovery, permanent, people around me seemed to change. They didn't really. Right. It was just me. If I walk in a room with a frown on my face, most people are going to frown back. If I walk in the same room, same people with a smile on my face, most people are going to smile. This is our first way of changing somebody's life for good. And start believing in yourself. I don't care who you are. You're worth it. Believe me, you're worth it. And stop hanging around 10-cent mines. My goodness.
Agreed.
Well, Rob, man, this has been an absolute pleasure, and you've changed my life for the better just in having read your book and having you here today as a guest, and I'm sure Will can say the same. As far as we typically ask, hey, how can people find you? But you've already given away your telephone number. But if people don't feel comfortable reaching out to you on telephone, is there a way to get a hold of you on social media, your website, anything else?
Any Google or any other search engine, Dr. Robb Kelly. If you want to go to the website, I spell my name with 2 B's, by the way. Thank you, Brian. RobbKelly.com. That's just it. RobbKelly.com. Get there.
Perfect.
Any search engine, you see all the podcasts and everything. And if you want to email me because you just don't want to talk right now or you're not ready to, it's just rob@robbkelly.com. ROBB. I've got 2 B's in my name. Send me a message. Get me online. Let's start a conversation, guys.
Great.
And every Sunday is put aside for things like that, where I can talk to people and have time with people and encourage them and just be blessed enough I get to do this stuff today. I get to do it. And before I go, guys, I got to say something really important. And my next patient knows I'm going to be late. Don't worry. I always, and I never know what show I'm going on until the night before. But all I get is I get a message off my outreach podcast, TV, radio person, Courtney. And she said, you got to look these guys up and you're on the show next week. And I said, okay. And I looked it up and I did some little bit of work on you guys. I want to thank you guys. And I'll tell you why. Very few times do people compliment us because they think we already know. Look at them 2 guys. We don't. I want to thank you for what you do, both of you. I want to thank you for the hundreds of thousands, if not millions, with the ripple effect of people that you both have touched over the last, how long you've been doing this and before, because you and my guys are the real hero here. You guys changed my life today. You guys changed my life when I look what this podcast was all about. And I want to thank you as a human being and a doctor and a person and a recovered alcoholic and say, thank you so much for what you do, guys. It's absolutely a miracle.
Wow. Well, humbled and honored, Rob. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Rob. It's really been, very eye-opening. And, my God, I almost felt myself getting a little, emotional at times. I mean, I was like basically the whole episode, because I have people in my life that are, struggle with addiction. And, I really want to have that. I need to, I've been wanting to have a conversation with them, but now I know a more effective way to do it, and also where to direction to point them when they're ready to take that big first step. But we have John, if you don't mind, Rob, just another 3 minutes of your time. If you got to go, you got to go. We have our grounding practice just to kind of close out all this amazing energy and knowledge and wisdom we received, and kind of bring it home deeper into our heart, deeper into our mind, and into the world. So John, please take it away.
All right. Yes. And as Will mentioned at the beginning, when he did his grounding practice, if you're in a place that's safe to do so and you're comfortable doing so, go ahead and close your eyes. Otherwise, just be comfortable and just listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth and get comfortable. And let's focus on our breath. Don't feel that you need to force anything. Just focus on the actual physical sensation of breathing, noting the rising and falling of the diaphragm, the expansion and contracting of the belly and chest as you breathe in and breathe out. And then just think about the emotional state, the emotional roller coaster we've been on this last hour with Dr. Kelly and what he has taught us and taught about visualization and taught about your trauma that you may be minimizing in your life and you may be boxing it up, just think about that. Don't feel that you need to unpack it right now, but just know that it may be there. And if that trauma is what is being the gateway to other releases, note that and be aware of it. And then just, again, take stock in where you are in your mind, in your body, and in your nervous system. Is your mind full, or are you mindful? Is your body sore and achy because of the score that the body is keeping? And is your nervous system rattled, or is it settled? And let's close with one deep cleansing breath together. Begin by breathing out all your air, bringing your navel to your spine. Breathe in deep in through your nose. Hold at the top. And relax, letting it go nice and slow, slow, slow. And as you do so, come on back, blink your eyes open. And Dr. Robb, thank you so much, sir. This has been an honor. This has been a wonderful, wonderful show. And I'm going to come back and listen to it time and time again because there was so many gold nuggets in this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Robb. Really appreciate you having here today. And hey, maybe come back on someday. Tell us more about trauma. We'd love to hear more about it.
Sounds good, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, sir. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks for joining Will and John on Men Talking Mindfulness. If you enjoyed the show, please like and share it with your friends and family, and please, we would appreciate a review too. Until next time, this has been Men Talking Mindfulness. Thanks for showing up.